What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past few days. We do have some big topics to discuss. Firstly, the return of the greatest human being to ever touch a football, Lionel Messi, is back on the table. We were discussing that word that will be taking place. Will he be a Barcelona player or Inter Miami player? All options are on the table. I'll give you guys the details on that as well. Also, Neymar will not stop twerking about his return to Barcelona, asking Barcelona to let him come back to make the dream a reality, let him come back and prove everyone wrong. But Barcelona still not quite too sure if they want Neymar back or not. Deco, of course, behind the operation, who still has not made a decision yet. We'll discuss all the details around that as well. Ansu Fati, of course, a big exit is expected for him this summer, and he was on the verge, one day away from actually joining Beşiktaş during the previous 2025 January transfer window. A full agreement was reached between Beşiktaş and Barcelona, but in the end, the deal fell through, and I will tell you why, and this is coming in from the president of Beşiktaş as well. And finally, the featured artist in collaboration, of course, with the Spotify agreement that we do have for the Clásico in La Liga will now be Travis Scott. He beats the bid of Taylor Swift, and he is now the huge favorite to feature on Barcelona's kit in the upcoming La Liga El Clásico. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below, and let's try and get to 200 likes on this video. It would be very much appreciated. And also, if you are new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, before we get into this video is sponsored by Number One Foot. Number One Foot is by far the best replica jersey website on the market, and it's not even close. They have a variety of different items at the absolute best prices. They sent me 2 kits recently. First one is the retro Barcelona kit, the home kit, which I'm currently wearing right now, and also as well the second kit for that season in the blue edition. Oh my god, like, the stitching is fantastic, the quality is superb. Feels like I have the actual original kit for a fraction of the price. And if you use the discount code BOY at checkout, you do get 10% off your order. That's BOY. Use it at checkout, and all orders above $80 as well will receive free shipping. So what are you waiting for? Hit the top link in the description down below and get your new football kits today. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past few days. The first item of business is in regards to how many players Barcelona plan to sign this summer. Of course, been linked with a lot of players in different positions in different areas, but what is the actual amount of signings that is to be expected? Catalonia Radio have come out saying that from the club, they say there is no need for many signings in the summer. We may make a maximum of 2 modifications, and if nothing changed, Barcelona plans as of right now is not to sign a striker, and they also have no intention as of right now to sign Nico Williams. They consider that his train has already passed. So a couple of things to break down here. Number one, they don't feel that it should be many signings. I guess that's true in retrospect to FFP and the actual budget. 2 signings for me would be perfectly fine if they're 2 of the right signings. For me, that is of course left back and full back, whether it's a right back or left back, either one. To be honest, hopefully a player that can play in both positions would be very nice. Not planning to sign a striker. This is of course correct with Lewandowski staying. Striker will probably be next summer in 2026. And on Nico Williams, the train has passed, which of course we heard in the summer as well. Look, if the club want to remain firm on that, I don't mind it. But when he is the absolute perfect mold that we need at left wing, I don't know how I really feel about that. Again, Nico Williams, for age, profile, experience, price, everything just fits the mold to Barcelona to absolute pure perfection, in my opinion. 60 million Spanish on the left wing, great 1v1, pace, fantastic dribbler, knows basically the whole team from the Spanish national team, so integration will be absolutely piss easy. And then you have, of course, Luis Diaz, his price is, more than Nico Williams. You have Leao, who's going to be more than Nico Williams as well. So I think that perspective might change. So we'll see on that. Now, also, of course, the other position along with the left wing is a right back. Now, Joaquin Pereira, number one source in regards to Brazilian players coming to Barcelona. He's, of course, very close with the sources with Deco. He's come out saying that Barcelona are looking for a fullback that can play on both sides. In other words, the club are looking for basically a new version of Cancelo. why the fuck did we just not keep Cancelo in the first place? He was available for 20 million last summer. Of course, now we know why. We had no money. We spent all of our money on Dani, which hopefully now looks like it's going to bode well for us. But we should have kept Cancelo last summer. I was preaching it. I was, to be honest, even twerking for it a little bit as well. We should have kept him. We should have bit the bullet. I know that the second half of the season didn't really bode well for Cancelo. Unfortunately, he's playing at left back. He's getting caught out a lot in defensive transitions, so that made a lot of the fan base, probably in the end Barcelona as well, not wanting to sign him. But unfortunately, since I have some ball knowledge, I can see through that. I think we should have kept him for at least 2 years. That we could have at least delayed this kind of signing. We could have focused maybe this summer on one signing, just one big left winger, and that would have been fine. But we'll wait and see. No doubt for me, we need signings this summer. That is a for sure 100% guaranteed. If they want to do a maximum of 2, that's fine. Left winger, fullback, those are the 2 that this team and this squad absolutely must needs to proceed forward. And do not forget, a winning team needs competition as well. Look at the past few years and look at every team that won the treble, won the Champions League. They go in the summer and they strengthen. Those teams that win the Champions League and then don't strengthen in the summer always end up failing. A perfect example of that is Manchester United in 08 and also in 2011, 1999 as well. Of course, 2008 they had the same core team that got to the final in 2011, but they could have done much more, of course, if they improved their team. Look at what Pep did under City. He went out and signed big players after winning the treble as well. You have to do the same thing, of course. Whether we have success or not remains to be seen, but no matter what, we should be signing players this summer. So we'll wait and see how things do turn out. But again, a very low amount of signings are expected for Barcelona this summer, with the emphasis, of course, on a left winger and a fullback. Now, last summer, I was, of course, twerking for João Cancelo to stay at Barcelona, and now there is a player twerking to come to Barcelona this summer, and that is Neymar. Remember what I just mentioned? There's 2 positions that Barcelona are looking for this summer, left wing, right back, and of course, that left wing mold, Neymar does fit it, of course, taking away the injury issue. Now, Fabrizio Romano has come out saying that back in February and March, there were rumors of Neymar returning to Barcelona, but I never pushed that story because Barcelona never started any concrete negotiation. It was more of Neymar's desire to join Barcelona. Neymar would love to return to Barcelona. If they called him, he would go tomorrow. He's happy at Santos right now, but if the opportunity arose, he'd be ready to ditch them and come to Barcelona. As of now, Barcelona are focused on other things like renewing the contract of Lamine Yamal and maybe signing a right back as well. They remain busy with many other priorities. No concrete contact with Neymar Jr. as of right now. So while Neymar has desires, there's nothing serious right now from this side of Barcelona. So everything we heard in February and March, where I was, of course, doing the videos about Neymar coming back, those were all coming in from Neymar's entourage. Of course, he wants to make the return. Again, what I say back in March and February, let's see how he does at Santos. Let's see how fit he is. If he can stay fit, this could be an option. It's not an option. The guy cannot stay fit to save his life. He's been injured more times than not with Santos, and he's only been there for about 3 or 4 months, so it makes no sense whatsoever, unfortunately, to sign Neymar. Of course, the profile would be nice, having the player back, the star player. He'd probably take the number 10 over Lamine Yamal this summer as well if he does join, but he's just too injury prone. And we've seen this season how injury has cost us in certain scenarios. Well, we can see what it has with Lewa and Balde coming up. Almost being out in and out of the team has cost us in multiple games as well. Casal not being part of the team as well. No Bernal, for our second, you could say, has been a bit of a positive, but he's just too injury prone. No Christensen as well. No Ansu Fati, so we cannot have another one to add to that collection. I think of course, my heart broke. The heart broke he gave me in 2017. I don't want him back, period. But if I'm looking at this without my biased lens on it, it doesn't make sense whatsoever to sign Neymar this summer. But you know what? Things can always change. Again, entourages and the money that Neymar would bring is absolutely huge. Number 10 for Barca. The sponsorship, the advertisement, the marketing you can do with Neymar is absolutely barbaric. So that, of course, I think is what kind of holds this deal on a skin, very thin thread as of now. So we'll see how things do turn out, but I think it's very unlikely that Neymar signing will happen this summer. But in the world of football, of course, you just never know how things do turn out. To be honest, I'd rather sign Neymar for free than Luis Diaz for 75 million. So that could be a little bit of an option as well. But again, we'll see how things do turn out once we hit June. Let's now discuss the players that have been rumored to be leaving Barcelona over the past few days. First up, of course, the main one, in Ansu Fati. There's a video, of course, that came out after his match against Celta Vigo with Ansu Fati returning to the bench after warming up, and he was kicking chairs and kicking Prime bottles in disappointment of not coming off the bench, which I can understand why. But Sport are reporting that Ansu Fati has decided to leave Barcelona at the end of the season. He has told his agent to start looking for a new club from this point on. And also, the Beşiktaş president did confirm that in January, he almost signed Ansu Fati from Barcelona. Of course, during the January transfer window, we had some reports about Beşiktaş showing strong interest in Ansu. Then apparently in the end, Ansu said no. The president of Beşiktaş confirmed it, saying that Ansu Fati was part of our plans, along with Patrick Berg and Samuel Dahl. After our Europa League match against 20, which of course we got knocked out in the group stages, I was ready to bring him to Istanbul. We had even reached a transfer agreement with Barcelona. The player was excited, and we also spoke with his father, but on the night we were knocked out of the Europa League, we were informed that Ansu Fati wouldn't be joining us. Our exit from Europe ended all arrangements. Oh my god, could not believe my eyes. I don't know what the transfer agreement would have been, either a straight transfer or a loan, whatever the case may be. But the fact that I think the positive to take from this is that Ansu is open to leaving, that if there is an opportunity that comes out that he's interested in, that's something that appeals to him, he will leave with, I don't think, any issues in regards to Barcelona. We'll see what happens with his wages, of course, whether he extends his contract and leaves on loan to, of course, spread out his wages to make it easier for him to leave. He leaves on a straight transfer. He agrees to, give up the money that he's owed from now to the rest of his contract. All that logistics remains to be seen, but I think the most important thing to take from this is that Ansu Fati is open and probably will leave Barcelona, of course, in the summer. But the fact he was so close, and Beşiktaş, of course, lost 1-0, I believe it was, to FC Twente, and got knocked out, of course, of the Europa League in the group stages. If they just qualified, Ansu would have left. Of course, that kind of sounds sad, but in the end, from this point in January until now, Ansu's only played 10 minutes for Barcelona. It was 10 minutes against Dortmund in the first leg. That was it. So we wouldn't have missed much, but now with Lua injured, we'll wait and see if he gets any more minutes. But again, very likely that Ansu will leave the club this summer, and we'll wait and see how he leaves now. That's really the big question that we're waiting for. Now, another player's exit that is also on the table where he wants to go out and develop for Barcelona is Guille Fernandez. Of course, in the last video, transfer video, I told you guys that Guille Fernandez is open to leaving Barcelona this summer at just the age of 16 with no first team, promise. Following that, Sport have now come out saying that Guille Fernandez dreams of making it in Barcelona's first team. Even though he had other offers, his goal and his dream is to succeed at Barcelona. His role model is Fermin Lopez, as Fermin had to work really hard to earn his place in the first team. Guille is open to whatever the club thinks is best. If Barca Athletic gets relegated, he might not want to stay there and would consider going out on loan. Of course, if it gets to a spot in the first team, he'd be thrilled, but if he still needs to prove himself, Guille thinks a one-year loan could help him finish his developing. So he doesn't want to leave Barcelona on a permanent basis. He wants to continue developing. Again, he wants to succeed, and his dream is to continue and be a part of Barcelona's first team. Again, right now that midfield is just absolutely stocked. There's really no room for him at this point. You look at Pablo Torre, who barely gets any minutes on the pitch. And of course you have Casado and Bernal coming back from injury soon. So it is unfortunate. The talent of his is so high. We have, of course, been talking about him on the channel now for about a year and a half. So I think a loan would be a good option for him, especially if he wants to, have the mindset of coming back to prove himself with Barcelona. You never know, stuff may turn out with other players. Bernal might do his ACL again. Casado might, be sold, or we might move on from Fermin. Offers might come in. Anything can happen, of course, in the world of football. Like I've always mentioned, I think right now our midfield is perfect in terms of depth, balance, quality as well. But we'll wait and see what happens with Guille. I hope he stays for at least preseason with the first team, see how it is, assess where his role is with Flick, then maybe go out on loan. Although you could say going out on loan early is also important as well, so he can develop with the team, get integrated, that way he can have a good season. So I'm good with either option. I think the most important thing, of course, is just don't let him go on a permanent basis. If you do, of course, retain a lot of his future, buyback option, percent of future sale, whatever the case may be. But again, his goal is to develop, and he wants to be a first-team player at Barcelona. And what he feels is best is, of course, to go out on loan. But of course, he'll have discussions with Barcelona once the summer arrives. Now, speaking on the B team, a B team player who's already in the plans of Hansi Flick next season is Dani Rodriguez. Mundo Deportivo have come out saying that Hansi Flick is considering promoting Dani Rodriguez to the first team next season. The German coach is very impressed by the player's skill, speed, and versatility. Keep in mind, he would have had a huge opportunity already this season had he not gotten injured at the same time that Ansu and Lamine and Ferran were all out injured at that time we were playing, Dani Olmo, Fermin, and Pablo Torre out on the wing. Of course, you have to keep in mind right now that we have a front three: YLR, Lamine, Lua, Raphinha. You have Ferran, Ansu, and Pau Victor as your substitutes. Pau Victor and Ansu will probably leave this summer. You're, of course, going to buy a left winger, so you still need one more option, and Flick sees Dani Rodriguez as being that final option. I do rate the player, of course, last summer in the Euros for the under-19s, where he won this for Spain. He was absolutely fantastic. We, of course, saw him a lot in preseason as well. Brilliant winger. And I think he would have done bits in the first team if he was, of course, fit during the time that we had an injury crisis up front, but unfortunately, he wasn't. Again, looks like he'll definitely do preseason with the first team. Then after that, we'll wait and see how things develop, but Flick already has in mind to include him as part of the first team next season. Now, a player currently in the first team that does want to continue at Barcelona next season or for the foreseeable future is Hector Fort. Now, Relivo will come out saying that Hector Fort is not thinking about leaving Barcelona despite the lack of opportunities. His dream is to stay and succeed at Barcelona. I really rate Hector Fort. Again, we 100% have to sign a fullback this summer. Koundé and Balde are still probably going to be the starters going into next season. We're going to sign one, which probably means, again, one of Gerard Martin or Hector Fort has to leave. Of course, Gerard Martin has already been given a new deal just a few months ago. Hector Fort, of course, signed a long-term deal back during the middle of last season. I really rate Hector Fort over Gerard Martin, but I think, unfortunately, that Flick rates Martin over Ford, which means that I think there is a high chance that Ford goes out on loan next season. I know that the club will sell him. I still think there's a massive talent there, both on the right hand side, left hand side. I think his overall game is very good. I think his passing in the final third is improvement. I think his speed, his defending at 1v1 is absolutely fantastic. I just don't understand why Flick does not give him more minutes. He's had, little to no minutes this whole entire season. He's only started when Koundé's been fucking late for training. So it's very disappointing not seeing him that much, especially after how well he did last season as well. But this is one where I will be very effective if we do sell him. I think he's a real talent. I think he's probably the best La Masia fullback I've seen since, for counting Jordi Alba since he came back, since we bought him. But straight from the academy into the first team, we've not really had fullbacks. Of course, Grimaldo left and all these other players as well. Montoya was like okay, it wasn't that great. And apart from that, we really haven't had any, fullbacks come through from the La Masia. Of course, Miranda, but he wasn't that great for the first team. Now I don't even know where the hell he is now. I think he's at Bologna now, maybe somewhere in Italy. But anyways, I really rate for it. We'll wait and see what his future decides this summer. I think it's very likely he will end up leaving. Maybe how will be the big question, but let's hope that Flick gives him a chance, some chances this season. But I do really rate him. But again, his future at Barcelona is just too close to call right now. Let's now discuss some contract renewal updates around the first team at Barcelona. Firstly, on the contract renewal of Jogo Bonito, the hero of yesterday's remontada, Raphinha. Fabrizio Romano has come out saying that initial conversations have taken place around Raphinha's renewal. First discussions for now, the club fully trusts the player who is happy at where he is despite contrary rumors. In the summer, when Flick arrived, he personally called Raphinha to tell him how crucial he will be in his team and that he fully wants him to stay. I saw an interview with Raphinha. He was asked who his most impactful manager was. He said Tite, the former Brazilian manager. I felt kind of hurt. I'm like, damn, you're doing Flick dirty like that? Hopefully, maybe now it's Flick, but keeping Raphinha, of course, is vital. I don't think Raphinha will get a long-term renewal, maybe a 2-3 year new deal at the absolute most. He won't be getting 4 or 5 year deals like Pedri, Gavi, Araujo, maybe even Frankie as well. But again, with his age, he is, I think, turning 30 this year, if I'm not mistaken, or 29. So probably a 2 or 3 year deal. But again, he fully deserves it. He's having a Ballon d'Or season. He's on 60 GA this season. He has more GA than he has games. That is absolutely astounding. I think he's also 6 GA away from having the most goals and assists of a Brazilian player ever in a season for any team. I think for Barcelona only. I think the record is R9, who had I think he had 68 GA in his one only season of Barcelona, which is freaking nuts. Let me see actually if I can pull it up right now, because the stat was astounding. And of course, it came down to mainly just Brazilian players' involvements. I believe they were for Barcelona. Let me see here. Yes, just for Barcelona. So I think right now is on 53. The record is 60 with R9, which he got his first and only season with Barcelona. Neymar on 56 GA in second place in the double season that he had after the treble. So he's on 53. Needs 7 more GA to have the most GA of any Brazilian in a season for Barcelona. That is disgusting numbers. People tell me that he was fugazi yesterday, getting a lucky goal and a penalty and a lucky assist. It was not lucky. I mean, the penalty, of course, but the assist for Dani was fantastic, and also the run that he made for the Lamine cross was also world class as well. This guy is, on a Ballon d'Or campaign like absolutely no tomorrow. He should be the winner, barring, of course, we absolutely capitulate in this final month of the season. So wait and see what happens with Raphinha's future. But again, definitely look with Barcelona. The club want him to stay. He wants to stay. Just down to negotiation and finding the best medium term in terms of the agreement on the deal. Let's now discuss some of the injury updates around the first team at Barcelona. The one only update we do have is on Robert Lewandowski following last night's match against Celta Vigo, where of course he was subbed off. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not looking good, bruv. He's going to be out for about 2 or 3 weeks. Again, we're going to wait for the official test later on today. I am recording this Sunday morning in Barcelona. He has not done his MRI quite yet. Probably in the next hour or two, he will do the MRI. that will just pretty much confirm the extent of the injury, but everyone's saying probably around 1 to 3 weeks out. 100% he's missing the Copa del Rey final. 100% he's gonna miss that first leg against Inter. Very similar to Balde, he's gonna try and at least make the second leg against Inter. This is very similar to injury to Alejandro Balde. Hopefully, since Lewandowski's at a very older age, he can just risk his body, get some painkillers in him, and hopefully just end up playing. The reports are saying that again, Barcelona are confident that he'll be absent for less than 3 weeks. His entourage is saying that he's probably going to be out for the Copa del Rey final, but he's going to be trying to make the first leg against Inter, which I don't think he will make. Again, if it's a hamstring tear, he's cooked. Big injury blow here for Barcelona, especially at the tailor end of the season. And finally enough, in this video, I was going to discuss, the fitness regime of Lewandowski and how he's been changing. Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Hansi Flick and Pepe Kunde have designed a specific plan for Lewandowski, who has been following it. He's been doing more explosive exercises since the beginning and feels much better now, and as a result, he fully trusts the trainer. 1 week later, he tears his hamstring. I mean, you cannot make this up. Only in the Football Club Barcelona, but it is a big injury. Hopefully we can survive with it. Again, you're looking at what Dani Olmo false line, Fernandez up front. Again, that's going to be a discussion for another day. In regards to Casado, apparently there are all positive reports on him that he may come back before the end of the season. If he does, he's not going to play. Last game, La Liga, I mean, whatever. He'll be on the bench for the Champions League final. That'll be cool, but he's not going to actually probably play. Of course, we're hoping that Balde, probably, to be fair, I think Balde and Lewandowski will probably both return around the same time. So it's an unfortunate blow away for the official confirmation later on today. It could be worse, could be better, but definitely 100% he's out for the Copa del Rey final next weekend. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past few days. First, in regards to the return to the beautiful Spotify Camp Nou. Again, this season looking very dead. TV3 have come out saying that Barcelona expect to return to the Camp Nou in September. Again, I think they mean probably August. There's no way we're this close to coming back that they're going to go back in September. And the VIP seats at the Camp Nou have already been built, so Barcelona do expect to be back in the 1-1 rule shortly once, La Liga approve everything. Now, the Barcelona have released an official statement a few days ago saying that the work on the Camp Nou renovation is progressing well, with preparations for the pitch being implemented next week after completing the drainage, ventilation, and heating installation. Over 3,500 people are working on the new roof, VIP seats, and advanced systems for match day. So again, they're getting close. I mean, not close enough, I think, to make it a season. Obviously, of course, if we're not going to play at the Camp Nou for the Clásico in the league, of course, there's no point of rushing back this season. But I think we're going to cut it short. Again, they're putting the grass now. The grass needs about 3 weeks. And we're 3 weeks away from the game. And of course, Barcelona do everything late in the last second. So this is begin next week as well. So we're cooked. We're cooked. We're going to be back hopefully at the beginning of next season. Thinking maybe for the Joan Gamper, probably should be the big aim now for the club. Based on what they're saying officially, they're saying that everything's going well. We're progressing. Again, the pitch is coming in. You can see the live stream and the pictures that have been released by Barcelona over the past few days. It's looking very advanced. I think definitely will be there for August. No doubt about that. Hopefully for the Joan Gamper. But I think this season, it's pretty much ruled out. Now, with the Spotify Camp Nou almost being ready for games to be played on, there are some early discussions between Barcelona and Inter Miami to have a friendly match for, of course, to commemorate the legendary, the greatest human being to ever touch a footballer, Lionel Messi. There are reports coming in saying there's already been early discussions over the possibility of Inter Miami and Barcelona playing a friendly at the new Camp Nou once the renovations are completed. This will, of course, entail the return of Leo Messi to Barcelona. Whether he plays one half with Inter, one half with Barca, the whole game with Inter, not play at all, and just come out and just, flex his trophies and dip, remains to be seen. Of course, Messi is close to reaching an agreement with Inter Miami on a contract renewal that will take him, of course, into the World Cup next summer. I think his current deal expires this December in 2025, if I'm not mistaken. But again, he's very close to renewing with Inter. Just a few final details for that to be fully agreed. Again, he'll never come back to Barcelona as a player at this point. He of course tried last summer. He was doing an interview yesterday saying that he was going to come back last summer, but in the end the club couldn't make it happen, which is a bit unfortunate. Was it last summer? Yes, last summer before we had Gundo and Nini and the Joaos and everything. So a bit of a blow there, but you know what, FFP in it. I mean, people talk about Bartomeu being a fault. I think COVID's 9% the fault of Messi not coming back, and the other 10% is probably La Liga, because La Liga have blocked Messi's return twice now, and of course let him force him to leave with the CBC deal. So anyways, that's just all logistics now. We'll wait and see. Again, there's going to be a friendly at some point. It's going to be some way to commemorate Messi once the Spotify Camp Nou opens up again. Just now down to what to do and also how to agree upon it as well. Now, in regards to the summer of 2025, it's already been widely reported that Barcelona will be having their pre-season tour in Asia, in the countries like South Korea, Japan, China as well. And Barcelona will be making quite a lot of money. Alfredo Martinez from Sport came out saying that Barcelona hope to earn around 20 million euros from the 2025 preseason summer tour. It is scheduled to play 2 matches in South Korea and 1 or 2 in Japan as well from August the 6th to the 8th. So of course preseason is going to be delayed a little bit, I think, due to the fact that there is going to be the Club World Cup. Of course at that point you're probably a week away from the João Gamper as well, so quite a late preseason to say the least. Maybe there'll be games before that in other countries as well, but 20 million for just 3 games, yes please. Now for some more imminent news, and that is in regards to the upcoming El Clásico. As per our deal with Spotify, we always have an artist that feature in only the league Clásicos. We of course had Drake, then Rosalía, then Coldplay, then Carlo G, and then Coldplay, and looks like the 6th one is now going to be Travis Scott. Of course, we heard a lot of reports over the past few weeks it was going to be Taylor Swift, and the agreement was almost reached, but in the end now, complete 360, and Travis Scott is now the favorite according to reports. He is expected to be featuring on the El Clásico journey for Barcelona on May 11th in La Liga. That of course will be played at the Montjuic. We'll wait and see what happens. I'm much rather have Travis Scott than Taylor Swift. Not really quite the Swiftie guy. I do like Travis Scott, so I wouldn't mind that whatsoever. I think the logo will be quite cool as well. If it's, you know, Cactus Jack or whatever it may be, we'll wait and see on that. But again, that's a complete 360 from what we've heard and seen before. That's how quickly it can change. We're also hearing that Ed Sheeran is also in the running as well. Maybe we can save those two, Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, for next season. Again, getting these big artists are always very, very important. I never knew who Carlo G was. I've heard of Rosalía. Of course, I knew Coldplay, Rolling Stone, and Drake. Obviously, that's my dog. That was the first one. That was the best one for me. The OVO logo. That was probably the best design. I didn't really like of course, Coldplay has a huge connection with Barcelona. The design they picked was kind of dead. The tour logo, but anyways, we'll wait and see. But as things currently stand, Travis Scott is the big favorite to be the artist that will feature on Barcelona's kit for the League Clásico. Now, in some other big news in the world of football around Barcelona, there is some reports about the Negreira case potentially being dismissed in court. Reports coming in from the ARA saying the Negreira case faces possible dismissal. The judge Alejandra Gil of Barcelona's court number 13 suspected June's testimonies of several key figures, including Barcelona executives and relatives of the accused, after it was revealed that the extension of the investigation expired on March the 1st, but wasn't communicated until March 13th. Because the extension expired before the official communication, it is legally invalid. Without a valid extension, the investigation cannot proceed, and thus the judge may be forced to issue a dismissal order or archive the case entirely, according to the Article 322 of the Spanish Criminal Proceeding Act. The Spanish Supreme Court ruling supports this interpretation as well, affirming that any actions taken outside the legal deadline are invalid and can cause both formal and material defensiveness to the accused. As such, the judge may now either issue a dismissal or transfer the proceedings to avoid violating due process, making the future of the case highly uncertain. They're gonna probably transfer it over. Again, it's probably too big for them to absolutely just throw it out the window. I think the roar and the absolute, chaos that would coincide from the Madrid media would be too staggering for them to, appeal. In the end, I have absolute utmost confidence in Barcelona, and more specifically Joan Laporta, to absolutely, get to win this case. There's absolutely no evidence or any doubt that Barcelona paid referees to influence decisions on the pitch. Again, we paid the head of referees to get referee reports on the referees to see how they interpreted fouls, how they, make calls, what's their opinion on stuff, to interpret them and maybe get a better call on the game, to know that if you're very friendly, be nice with him, he might not give you a yellow, blah blah blah. So that's just playing the game, right? A lot of other clubs do it as well in other leagues as well, so it's nothing surprising. But you see Barcelona referees and then money, everyone just loses their balls. So we'll wait and see. I don't think it will be dismissed. Of course, if it will be dismissed, it will be a nice relief from Barcelona. I think this will be, of course, passed on probably to another judge or transfer the proceedings to avoid, of course, that violation. But there's, of course, a bit of uncertainty right now around the Negreira case. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss for an end of this video is in regards to internal discussions around Hansi Flick and how he's making some internal changes to motivate and inspire this team to go on and do the unthinkable, and that is to win the quadruple treble. Fernando Polo of Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Hansi Flick was very angry after the game against Borussia Dortmund. Flick plans to push the team harder now that they're back to training, even though the next 2 league games against Celta and Mallorca are at home and seem easier. He does not want the team to relax. The Barca players themselves admit they played badly against Dortmund, and they know their coach was disappointed, but how is he going to keep the team motivated and riled up? Flick recently asked the first team locker room at the Ciudad Sportiva to be redecorized. He wanted motivational quotes related to sports, added many of them from the famous athlete Michael Jordan. The goal is to boost the team's competitiveness, focus, and team spirit. So of course Flick wants to, you know, bombard the locker room with motivational quotes. We of course saw the treble with the trophies and the question mark during that Lilian Thuram racism kind of seminar. I think that was after Balde got racist chants from Getafe. I think Thuram was doing a talk about racism and how to, you know, maybe, you know, combat it and to deal with it in those kind of moments. And we saw, of course, the treble question mark in the locker rooms. He wants maybe a bit more of that. And also, finally, if the team wins the Copa del Rey final, there won't be a party or any major celebration. Flick wants to avoid distraction or waste energy with the Champions League semi-final against Inter just 4 days after that. At most, the team will have a group dinner at the hotel in Sevilla after the game. Nothing more. Completely agree. Again, should be just like the Super Cup. We celebrate it on the night of. That's it. Crack on, lock in, and focus, just like we did in the Super Cup. So the team already know that, which of course is good. They celebrated that the night of. They flew back 2 days later, battered Betis 5-1, round 16 of the Copa del Rey. I want the same thing here. You can celebrate the day of, Madridista, Madrid Cabron, Salud al Campeón, and move the frig on. We gotta have, of course, bigger fish to fry, as people do say nowadays. So, we'll wait and see. I love this plan from Flick and keeping the team motivated, encouraging them, and also, most importantly, in my opinion, what I love the most, giving them stick when they don't perform. This is what we need. We saw Xavi being very soft on the team since the end. Of course, didn't have the ball to talk to the big players. Valverde was always very nice and comfortable with the players. Koeman, of course, gave it a bit, but he couldn't overpower the heads in the locker room in the end. So Flick, of course, has the locker room on lock right now, and he is going to be pushing them very, very hard. And hopefully, this will turn out into a success. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past few days. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course in the comments down below as well. Let me know your thoughts on everything we did discuss. Firstly, on the potential move of Neymar this summer, would you be in favor of it or not in favor of it? Secondly, on Ansu Fati, do you think he'll end up leaving Barcelona this summer or not, on a permanent deal or on a loan basis? Thirdly, your thoughts on Travis Scott being the featured artist on the Barca kit for the Clásico instead of, you know, Taylor Swift, of course. And finally, thoughts on the return of Lionel Messi. How would you like his return to happen as a player, in a friendly, at the Camp Nou, as an Inter Miami player, as a Barcelona player? Leave me all your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below as well if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care and Forza Barca.